What a treat, everybody. Please say hello to Jesse Eisenberg.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
How's it been so far?
Oh, great.
Yeah?
Yeah, great. Toronto is very nice, but it's raining.
Yeah, it was raining.
Yeah.
No kidding. Just the idea of kind of selling a movie or even talking about a film that is so... I mean, there's lots of films you've done that have lots of layers in it, but in the double, this idea of this particular Dostoevsky work, it's not the easiest one to wrap one's head around.
No, it's so strange. So, right, the movie is about this kind of meek businessman. You know, he lives in this dystopian world, and everybody who remembers him hates him, but most people don't remember him. And, like, the world seems to be out to get him so much so that, like, the elevator doors don't open for him. And then, out of nowhere, his doppelganger appears. I play this other guy, and for some reason, in this world, everybody loves this guy. And the elevator doors open, everybody laughs at his dumb jokes, and he's an awful person. And he starts to, like, overtake that first guy's life.
Well, and it's the big fear that everybody has, right? It's the awful loud one is the one that everybody's going to like.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's almost a horrible message for humanity. Right?
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, and like, you know, even like, you know, the first character like tries to do something nice and the other guy gets credit for it. Yeah. And the other guy doesn't even know what happens at the office, but he keeps getting promoted. So, right, it's the most, you know, kind of frustrating nightmare.
Like, I always think that when you're an actor or any kind of performer, there's residue, right? If there's always a little bit of you in the person you play, there will always be a little bit of them in you ultimately. And there's got to be some kind of purging process to get rid of it. But when you're playing two guys, you go home at night, which one are you taking home with you? Yeah,
it was strange. The only days I enjoyed filming were the days where I was playing the awful, mean character because he loved himself. And when I was playing the guy who hated himself, I was miserable all day. I wouldn't sleep at night. And then I only realized, like, after the movie ended that I had a really good time playing the other guy because he liked himself. So at the end of those days, I would feel good about myself, and I would wonder why. Why did that day go well and all the other days went? Unfortunately, like, the ratio of, like, the sad guy to the happy guy is, like, way out of proportion. Like, right. So I mostly played the sad guy. So overall, not a good experience.
Well, is it... What's the line? It's not always okay to be lonely or something like... There's one line where you deliver about loneliness.
It's terrible to be lonely too much or something.
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking. I'm watching the movie and I was like... So that's how I feel when I receive it. But if you have to say the line multiple times... Yeah. Does it mean more or less?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, that line just broke my heart. Yeah, it's terrible to be alone too much. Yeah, that's the line. He says it's terrible to be alone too much because he's so alone. And yeah, it's endlessly heartbreaking. I went to a performing arts high school and there was like a great pianist I was friends with. And I asked him, like, I saw him play piano and I asked him, like, how do you keep playing that song? Like, we all feel something when you play that song, but you have to play it. Do you feel anything? He says, I feel it much more than anybody who's listening to it because he's generating it.
Is this the school, the art school that you had to lie about getting into?
Oh,
Did you lie about your aunt, about Aunt Doris? Did you lie, said you lived with her or something like that?
Yeah, you're like Rain Man. How do you know this?
But so, and Aunt Doris, all I heard was she was over 100 as of the spring. Is she still, what?
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
I'm so
She hasn't gotten any younger, yeah.
That's true. Has she managed to stay the same? Because that would be interesting.
Right, yeah, you're right. No, she's continuing to get older.
Think how beautiful it is you have this access to somebody who's lived for 100 years and the kinds of stories that she would tell you. Do you explore that with her? Yeah,
so yeah, she's like the closest person to me in my life. She's 101, and I've been seeing her for like 10 years every week, you know, without, you know, fail. So like, she's like the consistent thing in my life. So she was born actually in Poland, like where we're both from. And so she told me all about her life. So I decided like I would go visit the little town she's from, like you did. Yeah. And
we were there the same time.
Yes.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
visiting different houses, but yeah, basically the same trip. And like I took all these pictures of where the house was from, you know, where she was from. This is like 90 years ago, but she says she remembers it like it was yesterday. And I brought back all these pictures and I showed it to her, and it took me like, you know, weeks to get there because I was driving from, it doesn't matter. And
of the photos you took, how many did you actually show her?
I showed her like 3 or 4 photos of what was the house, you know, and the square that she lived on, and she could not like care less. I was so thrilled. I finally made it back to New York with these pictures, and she just said, "Oh yeah, I think that's it." Like I thought I would get like a medal, you know, from the maybe like a badge from the family, the crest on my jacket, but no, nothing.
The good grandson.
Yeah, nothing.
Years ago, I read, it was maybe, I don't know, maybe it was a year ago, you'd written something about your mom taking you to the ballet. There's this great line that you wrote, which is, "Are you sweating? You smell like sweat." Yeah. And the whole play sounded like it was, or the whole story sounded like it was somebody trying to purge a terrible experience in a way.
That was what it was.
It was, yeah?
Yeah.
Was it real or was it fictional?
It was real. Every time I do anything boring in my life, I write something funny about it because I feel like if I'm doing something boring, I just wasted the time. So I took my mother to the ballet for her birthday, and it was the most boring experience of my life. So I just, the whole time, just decided, well, I'll just write a monologue about it. So that's where that came from.
Was it boring for her?
No, she loves ballet, but I think the more she enjoyed it, the more bored I was. Just because just sitting next to somebody who liked something I hated, and it just becomes extra frustrating.
Did she at any point try to explain it to you afterwards and what you missed?
My mom, yeah, she occasionally will try to tell me what they're doing, but the monologue, I write about my mother all the time, like for The New Yorker, and my mother is nothing like what I write about. Like, I would say like the kind of humor archetype in a lot of like Jewish culture and Jewish humor is like the overbearing mother. This is just like a thing. My mother doesn't really fit that bill totally, but it's just funnier that way. If she was just nice and benign like she actually was, no one would laugh.
Right. Your father, I mean, I know your father at one point drove a taxi cab. Were you ever on ride-alongs with him? Was it before you were able to do that?
My dad, oh no, before I was born, yeah, my dad was a taxi driver in New York, and no, he stopped because he almost got killed several times. Right, somebody threw like a brick through his front windshield, and somebody tried to take his money, you know, with a knife, well, with their hands, but the other hand had a knife. And you can't take money with a knife because it'll cut it, and then it's no good anymore because it's sawed in half. So he quit, yeah.
Does he tell you those stories? What do you think when you hear those stories?
I don't want to be a taxi driver.
No.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, because I think that one of your early roles, it was you. I think it might have been your character was an uncle that was driving you all around New York. So in a way, I wondered if there was any.
Oh yeah.
You know, do you feel as connected to your family? Do they know what's going on in your life and the way your career is building?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to my parents a lot. Like when I lived with them, I didn't talk to them that much, and then when you move out, you like immediately feel like I need to talk to my parents. So yeah, so I speak to them a lot, and it's helpful because I travel so much, and so you know it's. I probably talk to my parents more than maybe most 29-year-old people only because I'm never home, so it, you know, kind of feels like I need to keep me grounded.
The further away you are, is it harder to remain grounded?
Yeah, because you lose any kind of sense of normalcy. I mean, I've been home like in the last few months probably for like 4 days. And so, yeah, you lose a sense of like normalcy. You lose a sense of like having like a regular friendship with somebody where you're just sitting around having a boring time with them as opposed to just having an intense social time with them because you're only there for 24 hours. So yeah, you have to make extra efforts to feel like a human.
Have you got to go to? I think, like for me, there's this one Vietnamese soup in Toronto that I make sure whatever it is, I'm here for that. And in 2 seconds when I go through it, I haven't had the week that I've had. I'm just right here. Do you have those moments?
I had that. It closed. I had, yeah. No, they're actually kind of like similar to you. Yeah, there was this amazing like Chinese restaurant. It was the only one in New York City that had like hot pot, you know, but it was the only of its kind. And I would go there as soon as I got off the plane, and it made me feel like I was back in New York. And then it closed for a series of health violations, so it's probably for the best.
It's another life lesson right there, right?
Yeah.
That which makes you feel the best isn't always the best for you.
Right. It's also giving you Giardia.
Yeah. A lot of the people I know who have New Jersey in their life, who are performers, have this little outsider feel to them.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. Yeah, like growing up in New Jersey, you feel like this burning sense to do something important to get into New York City, you know, especially if it's right there. Like I lived an hour away from New York City, and I felt this burning desire that in order to like get to New York City, you have to do something of note.
I think I was talking to the guy who created The Sopranos here once, who's in that chair, and we were talking about his ability to enjoy what he's done. And he said, look, I know it's good work, and I know I like it, but of course I don't enjoy it, because that's not how I am. And then I was trying to figure out, is it the same for you? Do you enjoy, like, is it not watching it is because you can't enjoy it?
Yeah, I can't. I just you know, when you're filming something, you're having like a very kind of visceral and personal experience, and then when you're watching something, it's a very different experience, you know? I also compare it to like if you go on vacation and you take like 100 pictures of yourself, and then you go home and you look through the pictures and you like 5 of them. That's like and the other 95, you're like mortified. That's what I look like. Why am I staying in that position? Why do I have knees like that? That's what the experience is like watching myself. Like 5%, I think, oh yeah, that came out good. I'll show that to my mother. But the other 95%, I think my knees are weird.
Has it changed over the years? Did you get older and more confident?
No, it gets worse, because like I just have like, yeah, because I have like different expectations for myself, or I like, as I act more, I like realize like how to do it better, and so my expectations for myself rise.
Where does that come from in your family?
What, expectations?
Yeah, like you said your mother wasn't that overbearing type, but did people expect you, you know, some kids grow up in that world where there's an expectation they'll do great things.
Oh, no, my parents expected me to do nothing. Yeah,
Well, you had a nervous childhood, right?
I did. Yeah, but I just am personally eager, I guess.
Yeah. Stick around, more Jesse right after this. All right, coming up with Jesse, the story behind the zombie Bill Murray. Best cameo ever, by the way.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I got him.
The day before, they didn't know who was going to do it.
Really?
And they just showed up.
Is that how you say hello? Where you coming from?
Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't believe I shot
Zombieland. We went to great lengths to never talk about the cameo for the first year after it came out, but now at this point it's worth it. That's the greatest cameo ever.
Yeah.
And you get to kill Bill Murray.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't know who was going to do the part. You know, apparently, like Bill Murray, I think, does not have like a telephone.
No, he's very hard to. I don't think.
Yeah.
Ivan Reitman once told me that they didn't know he was going to do Stripes till he showed up.
That same thing with this. We
Right.
literally had like an alternative plan, which was, I think, like an older couple. Like we walk into the house of an older couple, and then they start attacking us, and it was really stupid. And like that morning, they said like, oh, instead of doing the stupid thing, the funniest person that's ever lived will show up and be in it. So it was amazing. But that's like how it works.
And so do you have to approach it differently when you know it's Bill Murray?
I can't figure him out. To me, he's like the most enigmatic person on earth.
But I think people feel that way about you in a way.
Oh.
How you choose your films, the kind of career that you're building, the way, and your ability to be funny and serious, and which one do you want to do?
Oh yeah. I mean, I admire him very much. I can't figure him out. Like, he's one of these people you can't figure out what they're thinking or doing. Like, the first time I saw him do anything, I saw him make a speech somewhere, and the speech was the strangest thing I've ever seen. It was at an award show, and he was introducing somebody. He wasn't even like accepting something, so it was odd that it was so long. And it was like the strangest thing, and you couldn't tell if it was funny, if he was mocking everybody.
Yeah.
And on set too, I couldn't tell if he was like mocking me or engaging in a comedy and like kind of in a collaborative way. He's just bizarre to me, but great.
Do you have the kind of security to be able to deal with that, or was it?
No, of course not. No, it's heartbreaking. No, I thought I offended him a million times because I like improvisation, and you know, we had been filming that movie for a long time before he came in, so I was feeling comfortable improvising. Yeah. And a lot of times he would stare at me like I just said the stupidest thing in the world, and I couldn't tell if he was staring at me because I had said the stupidest thing in the world, or his character thought my character said the stupidest thing. And it's like a very fine line between those feelings, but one makes me feel terrible and the other makes me feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the director said cut, did he look at you and say it'll be? Or did they look at you and say it'll be okay?
He said nothing. So it's really disconcerting. And Woody Harrelson and him, and like I'm friends with Woody, so like I trust Woody, but he's friends with Woody, but in a way that I could never penetrate. So I couldn't figure out like can I get approval from Woody by proxy? And it was just a really confusing experience.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
So did the Facebook movie change much? I mean, obviously it makes you more famous and all the attention, but did it change much intrinsically inside you? Social network?
No, I mean, the biggest change for me, like when I was like 19, I was in a movie for the first time, and that changed like everything. I just, like, because I had been acting before that, but I had been auditioning for stuff I hated, you know. I auditioned for like one line in an Adam Sandler movie, and I got like called back like 2 times, and I didn't get and then I saw the movie, and the guy was like out of focus in the back, so even if like I won the lottery and got into that movie, I wouldn't have been seen in it. Right. And then I got like a lead role in a great movie, and it came out, and then I got sent scripts, and that was like the biggest change.
Real pleasure, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right on.
Nice.
Jesse Eisenberg, the Dumbo. We'll be right back. I think we're just gonna do a quick news.